baby hoarders. Um, I want to. I think Hannah Claire, did you send this to me or did I have this?
I think you had it, but I thought about sending it to you because
telepathically you sent it to him.
We were all on the same vibe because this story is so weird.
Yeah, why don't you take the lead?
Okay, well, I think you'll hear a lot of surrogacy people talk about it, but I also think there's probably an immigration angle. So it's, I believe, 2 Chinese nationals. It's a man, I think in his late 50s, and a woman in her mid 30s.
Correct.
Who were arrested.
She looks like she's 100 too.
So they live in this huge house. I mean, it's enormous. Apparently, it's also set up like a hotel. And they had the police called Child Protective Services, this is in California, after a 2-month-old who lived at this address was brought to the hospital with severe head injuries. Apparently, it turns out the injuries were inflicted 2 days before. They believe by the nanny, who's like in her 40s, who's now on the run, that this couple employs. But when the police arrived at the house, they found in total 21 children. 17 of them were in the house, and another couple were another couple were like at other houses in the area. But 17 of them are ages 3 and under, and they're all right now the reporting is that they're all biologically this couple's children, and that they would use surrogates to have them. But it's believed that the couple is trafficking these kids, like selling them for adoption, because first off, what are you going to do with 17 3-year-olds? That sounds insane.
Oh my
Start a football team.
Also, there was a woman who came forward and was like, I was one of their surrogates, and she has photos and stuff. But
Kayla Pina, she wants her kid back.
Wants to adopt it. This the couple,
that's not her kid,
worked with an agency that was registered at the address that this couple owns, at the house where this kid who was abused, presumably abused, was reported to be living. And so we have this like layered story where it's like human trafficking, also surrogacy, also potentially immigration, also child abuse stuff. Like, it's whack, and it's unfolding really rapidly right now.
This is a slippery slope of surrogacy. That's one reason why I don't like it. It's just there's too many it just is too immoral, too much room for immorality involved in it, to where it appears that they have an entire business selling children. We already see what happens with these gay couples buying children through these surrogacies, and it's awful. It's inhumane. I think that this surrogate who's trying to get custody of her baby, I support her in that. She carried it. She should be able to raise it.
Well, she should, she doesn't want it to get trafficked, I think.
For sure.
Like, what do you do?
Used by their apparently crazy nanny who's now fled.
Now, I will say she's not going to get custody of that baby. But it is, I mean, I don't know if they were raising him to work in the marijuana fields in California, but what other reason do you have this many kids? Like, they had some amount of money because this was their house. Like, it was a very nice house, especially in California. This is probably a $5 million house, I'm guessing. Looks like they have a Range Rover. I don't know if I'm not good at picking out cars by eyesight. The SUV out here. But what the hell were they doing with 17.3? Like, how do you even manage that? Like,
that's
suspicious.
Insane. And there are some slightly older kids. I mean, there are reports of Chinese men employing surrogates in the U.S. who have the baby in the U.S. and therefore they have an anchor baby, like they have a U.S. citizen they're genetically related to, and that can be a problem. It's one of the issues with surrogacy.
Oh, okay. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, so that's what I wondered about with the older kids. This report that apparently the couple had a wave of kids in the last 3 years, this 17 kids that are 3 and under, it is really interesting. Again, that to me, that speaks more to trafficking. Occasionally you hear of like crazy people who are like, well, I must populate the earth with all of my genetics, but that doesn't seem like what's happening here.
Do you know how much money that would cost? Like, just think about that. 17 kids in 3 years paid for. So first of all, you have to go to a whatever and have that many eggs extracted.
Right.
Okay. Like, here's a crazy thing if you want to like go down this road. Okay. Let's just talk about the 17 they had over the last 3 years. They would have had to extract, they would have had to go to a clinic and extracted most likely hundreds of eggs.
Right.
Because that's the way IVF works. You don't take out one egg and then put a baby in. That's not how it works. So they would have extracted hundreds of eggs, which no normal IVF clinic probably would do.
They probably went to multiple.
Exactly. So they would have had to go to multiple of them. Then you would have had to pay 15 or 20 surrogates, whatever you pay a surrogate, which can be $20,000-$30,000, I'm guessing, maybe
Sometimes
more.
maybe more, yeah.
Right. So, that's $500,000. In my opinion, there was like no way they weren't profiting from these kids in some way, shape, or form, because most people couldn't afford it. And then if you look into the other interesting thing, there's a reason this guy in his 50s was probably with somebody in their 30s, because the older you get, like the more eggs it will take to have a healthy fetus. And if you really want to get into it, if they have 17 kids, that means they've aborted 200, probably 200 healthy.
Frozen because they're just trying to trick surrogates. I mean,
yeah, that could be. That could be.
Surrogacy is so generally I'm always like a low regulation. I don't want the government involved in that kind of stuff. But surrogacy is this weird area where a lot of people, not just the children, are harmed by it. Because this couple apparently would tell the surrogates, we just have one child already. We really want to have a second. And like, will you be our surrogate? We'll pay you. I don't think any of the surrogates knew that the agency that they were working for was actually apparently run by this couple. They did not know that the couple actually had tons of kids, and they did not know that they were pursuing surrogacy with lots of different people. So you have these surrogate mothers who maybe some are doing it for the money, maybe some are doing it because they think it's a good thing. I mean, whatever the reason, they're all being misled. And then you have the 21 children that have apparently been produced because of this, who are all apparently now in a dangerous home. If you have a 2-month-old with head trauma that didn't get reported for 2 days, and additionally, like, so what, all of these children of apparently Chinese nationals are now going to go into American foster care. Like, it's just a disaster all around.
Yeah, I mean, I've always had like, I'll just, as I've gotten older, obviously I've learned about IVF for obvious reasons. When you're my age, your chance of having a kid is like 2%, 3%. There's people that like go through this, or they use a surrogate, or they whatever. There are people that are very normal couples, like, but then once you see how the system works, like, it can get pretty dark. Like, part of it is like, hey, we'll get 10 healthy eggs, but then we'll also test them so that you can abort ones that have any kind of potential deformity or this, and
or they
like,
say like, this is the one that's most likely to be viable. So if you're going to spend $20,000 on this, you want to implant this one.
Well, that part I actually understand. Like, it's very expensive. I want to know which one's the most viable.
It's such a hard position to put parents in, I think.
Yes, right. Well, if you're younger, they'll say, well, you can freeze a bunch of them and you can have them later, which I think is cool. It's a little weird, but okay, at least you're not aborting them, which I still believe you are. Like, it's a gray area, but I think by definition, if you have a bunch of, you have a bunch of viable fetuses and you flush them, then by definition, if you believe that life begins at conception, then you are doing that. But
the University, which is the Christian University of a medical school, I know they talk about with like IVF. I can't remember what it's called, but it's like compassionate implantation. Like, even the eggs that you have, like, if you have 2 children and you're like, okay, we have 2 eggs left, you implant them anyways and basically allow like whatever's going to happen, because there's a chance maybe it'll take and maybe it won't. You've still given them the option, because typically, like, you're still taking some kind of fertility drug after the implantation to help it like stick effectively. IVF is really complicated. I mean, I don't condemn people who go through IVF. I think, I don't either. Like, that's how they start.
Especially when they're good families and like,
right. And I think if you have modern science, like, we can bring our morality with us. Like, we just have to critically go over how it's going about. Like, if we have this technology, surely there are ways to become more ethical with it.
It is weird when you're like scoring them and like saying,
it's crazy.
You're getting a little like, I don't think the Bible. What do you think God would say about it, Melonie Mac? What do you think
I don't think
go ahead.
I don't think it's super conclusive, but I don't personally like it, and I don't know. There's just too much wrong
Yeah, yeah.
it. I don't like it. The Bible tells us that children are a gift from God. So if it's God's will for a couple to have a child, then it will happen. We've seen it happen in the Bible with the 95-year-old woman. So it's just like, if it's God's will, God will make it happen.
That's
so
why I said 5%. But like if we do it 20 times, then it should be 100%, right?
Right. That's that's the thing is when people start trying to play God and to do things like that, I don't like it. And I don't think that anybody who's ever done IVF or like going to hell or anything like that, but I don't like it. And I don't think it's a moral thing to do.
I think that's a fine position to have. Like, I don't hold it against people.
Right.
I think it gets weird when you're like, doing all the testing to try and create a super baby. But like, that's like,
if you're not going to acknowledge that you're doing that, like what I find is like when people are like Mindy Kaling said the best thing that parents could do for their daughters in their 20s is to offer to freeze their eggs.
I know.
Which like puts them through tons of hormones. It's hard on your body. It doesn't guarantee children later. It's just sort of the hope that maybe science will help you in the future.
Well, that's another, you can be a strong, independent girl boss. You can have it all. It's just that same thing.
It's not
like
acknowledging that, like, if you then fertilize those eggs and you only use 2 of the 6, that like you are creating loss. Like, I just think our conversation around IVF is warped from the beginning because people don't want to acknowledge what's happening. They want the results for the most part, but you have to be fully accepting of the moral implications to it, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said, well, I'll go get 10, but then all 10 are getting implanted. So hopefully we get our own TV show. It would be nice to work for Octomom.
Well, I've known people who like are very strong Christians who end up choosing to go through IVF, but they like see doctors that are like, we will only fertilize 1 egg at a time.
Yeah, right.
Only do it that way. Like, it's just, that's not.
There are levels.
So you have to, and you have to like fight for your morality and your faith to be more incorporated. But that's a whole IVF thing. That's not the same thing as these people who are like mass producing.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I guess what I'm saying is, where I was going was, this is very different. Like, the process can be very moral and helpful for people, but these people clearly had some sort of, there was some end goal for these kids to make money off of them, for them to have, there's no actual reason to have 21 kids.
Right.
And there's no actual reason to be pumping them out a dozen a year. Like that's
at the same time. Like, and also
that's a baby factory.
Unless there are more nannies in the house than we know of, like, that means that there are 21 children and 3 adults right now. Maybe there are more, but like, that daycare classroom ratio is awful. You wouldn't want to send your kid there. Maybe there are 5 nannies on staff. We don't know, but like,
they might have 10 or 20. It might be some crazy like Chinese like baby farm where each one of these kids is worth $1 million. They sell the kid back to some Chinese national to get you a citizen, whatever. Like, there might be some. I think we're gonna find out that there's some trafficking going on here. Like,
I think so too.
I would guess that.
Yeah, it's obviously bad enough that they took the kids already. So they must have some. You have your kid bump their head, you don't see it. I don't think CPS should take your kids away. You know what I mean? Like, there is they know something else. Like, this guy, are they using the 65-year-old sperm?
I think so.
So like, I'm saying like 65, 38. She's not like, in her 20s.
Like both of their
both
ages,
of them are kind of.
It's harder to conceive for both.
Yeah.
Of them.
Well, and also like, they're not trying to carry the children themselves. They're farming that out so that they can have many children at once. If you have 17 kids who are all below the age of 3, they were probably all born in very close succession. Like,
right,
you have multiple surrogates at once.
Yeah, that's weird.